Aboud never knew his family history. Raised by his grandmother, he'd always accepted her vague explanations about his parents. They were travelers, she would say, gone to distant lands. But when his grandmother died, Aboud received a letter. It was from a lawyer he'd never met, informing him of an inheritance. A grand mansion passed down from generations now belonged to him. Aboud was skeptical, but the lawyer insisted he visit. Curiosity piqued, Aboud decided to visit the mansion. He packed a small bag, boarded a train and journeyed to the remote countryside. As the train rattled on, he felt a knot of unease in his stomach. What would he find at this mansion? Was he ready to uncover the secrets of his family's past? He gripped the lawyer's letter, his only connection to this unknown world. The train screeched to a halt, jolting Aboud back to the present. He grabbed his bag and stepped onto the deserted platform. A lone car awaited him, driven by a stoic man in a chauffeur's uniform. With a curt nod, the driver loaded Aboud's bag and motioned for him to enter the car. The drive was long and silent. Aboud stared out the window, watching the scenery change from bustling city to desolate countryside. The sun began to set, casting long shadows across the fields. As they approached a winding driveway, Aboud saw it. The mansion. It loomed over them, a gothic silhouette against the fading light. The car crunched up the gravel driveway, stopping before the imposing oak doors. The driver got out and unloaded Aboud's bag, his face unreadable in the twilight. Aboud stepped out of the car and into a different world. The air hung heavy with the scent of damp earth and decay. He shivered, suddenly cold, despite the summer night. The driver gestured towards the front door. "The lawyer is expecting you, sir. I will return in the morning." And with that, he turned and drove away, leaving Aboud alone. Aboud approached the massive oak doors. They were intricately carved with scenes of mythical creatures and strange symbols. He hesitated, a shiver running down his spine. Taking a deep breath, he raised his hand and knocked. The sound echoed through the silence. He waited, but there was no answer. He tried the door handle. To his surprise, it creaked open, revealing a dark and dusty interior. Stepping inside, Aboud felt a cold draft brush past him, carrying the scent of decay and something else, something ancient and unsettling. He fumbled for a light switch, but found none. With a sigh, he pulled out his phone and used the flashlight feature to illuminate the hallway. Dust motes danced in the pale beam, swirling around him like tiny ghosts. He walked slowly, his footsteps echoing on the marble floor. The air was thick with silence, broken only by the creaking of the old house. The house was a labyrinth of dark hallways and shadowy rooms. Each room seemed frozen in time, with furniture draped in dust covers and portraits of stern-faced ancestors staring down from the walls. Aboud wandered through the house, his footsteps echoing on the wooden floors. He felt a strange mixture of curiosity and unease. In a dusty drawing room, he discovered a gramophone. Its horn was shaped like a serpent's head, its eyes glinting in the dim light. He gently touched the needle, imagining the sounds it once produced. He could almost hear the faint strains of music, whispers from a bygone era. He continued exploring, each room revealing more of the mansion's secrets. In the library, he found shelves upon shelves of ancient books, their leather bindings crumbling with age. He ran his fingers across the spines, imagining the stories they held. He felt a presence in this room, a sense of history pressing in on him. Section 5, the first diary. It was in a small, dusty study that Aboud found the diaries. They were stacked neatly on a mahogany desk, their leather covers cracked and faded. He picked up the topmost diary. It was small and bound in worn leather. The inscription on the cover simply read, "Sarah, 1888. Aboud opened the diary, his fingers tracing the faded ink. The pages were brittle, filled with Sarah's neat cursive handwriting. He began to read, his heart pounding in his chest. "May 12th, 1888. I have arrived at the manor, a place of shadows and whispers. My uncle, a man I barely know, has summoned me after my parents' tragic accident. He is a cold and distant man, his eyes filled with a sadness I cannot fathom. I fear something is not right in this house." Aboud turned the page, captivated by Sarah's words. He felt a connection to this girl who lived over a century ago. He continued to read, his heart sinking as he delved deeper into her world. Section 6. A Family's Secrets. As Aboud read through Sarah's diary, he discovered a family shrouded in secrets and tragedy. Sarah wrote of strange occurrences within the mansion, unexplained noises, flickering shadows, and a growing sense of dread that permeated the very walls. She hinted at dark rituals performed by her ancestors, whispers of forbidden knowledge and ancient pacts. One entry chilled Aboud to the bone. June 20th, 1888. I saw him last night. A fleeting glimpse in the hallway, a tall, gaunt figure with eyes that glowed like embers. He vanished as quickly as he appeared, but the memory of his gaze sends shivers down my spine. I dare not speak of this to my uncle. I fear what he might do. Aboud shuddered. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was not alone in the mansion. He could feel eyes on him, watching his every move. He closed the diary, his mind racing with questions. Who was this mysterious figure Sarah had seen, and what was the darkness that seemed to cling to his family's past? Section 7. The Clock Tower. Driven by a mixture of fear and morbid curiosity, Aboud continued to explore the mansion. He found a narrow, winding staircase leading up to the mansion's clock tower. The air grew colder as he ascended, the musty scent of decay intensifying. He emerged into a circular room dominated by a massive grandfather clock. Its pendulum swung back and forth with a hypnotic rhythm, the only sound in the otherwise silent tower. The clock face was ornate, its hands frozen at the stroke of midnight. But what sent a shiver down Aboud's spine was the inscription above the clock face: Tempus fugit, veritas mane. Time flies, truth remains. Section 8. The Hidden Room. As Aboud stared at the inscription, he noticed something strange. One of the floorboards beneath the clock creaked slightly when he stepped on it. Crouching down, he ran his hand over the wood, feeling for any irregularities. His fingers found a small, recessed latch. He pressed the latch, and with a groan, a section of the floorboard lifted, revealing a small, dark space below. Aboud retrieved his phone and used the flashlight to peer into the opening. He saw a set of narrow, rickety stairs leading down into darkness. He hesitated for a moment, fear battling with his insatiable curiosity. Taking a deep breath, Aboud began his descent into the unknown. The air grew heavy and oppressive as he descended. The stairs creaked ominously beneath his weight, and he couldn't shake the feeling that he was stepping into a place where he didn't belong. Section 9. A glimmering necklace. The stairs ended in a small, dusty chamber. The air was thick with the smell of mildew and decay. Aboud scanned the room with his flashlight beam, his heart pounding in his chest. In the center of the room sat a small wooden chest, its surface covered in carvings of writhing tentacles and grotesque creatures. Aboud approached the chest cautiously, his hand trembling as he reached for the lid. He lifted it slowly, bracing himself for whatever horrors might lie within. But instead of horrors, he found something else entirely. Nestled on a bed of faded velvet lay a single object, a silver necklace with a pendant shaped like an eye. The eye was set with a single ruby-red stone that seemed to pulse with an inner light. Aboud reached out and gently lifted the necklace. As his fingers brushed against the cold metal, he felt a surge of energy, followed by a wave of dizziness. Images flashed through his mind, fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures, strange rituals, and a pair of glowing red eyes that seemed to bore into his very soul. He gasped and dropped the necklace back into the chest, his heart pounding in his chest. Section 10. Unanswered questions. Aboud stumbled back to the stairs, his mind reeling from the experience. He climbed back up to the clock tower, his legs shaky beneath him. He emerged into the relative safety of the tower room, gasping for breath. He needed to get out of this house now. As he turned to leave, his eyes fell on the inscription above the clock face once more. Tempus fugit, veritas mane. Time flies, truth remains. The words seemed to mock him, a reminder that he had only scratched the surface of his family's dark history. He had found some answers, but in their wake, even more questions arose. Who were the people in Sarah's diary? What secrets did they hold, and what was the significance of the eye-shaped necklace? Aboud fled the mansion, his heart pounding in his chest. He knew he couldn't stay there, not now, not after what he had seen and experienced. As he drove away, he cast one last glance at the imposing structure, its windows dark and lifeless in the moonlight. He knew that he would never be the same. He had looked into the face of his family's past, and what he had seen both terrified and intrigued him. He knew that his journey had just begun. The secrets of the mansion and of his family's past would continue to haunt him, beckoning him back to uncover the truth, no matter how terrifying it might be.